Voyage.
Hey, this is Dan Benamor, head of podcasts of Voyage Media, and I'm pleased to introduce our listeners to Mark Feuerstein, who stars in the Speechless episode of our Hope Lives Here series. Mark is an incredibly accomplished actor, perhaps best known for starring in the USA series Royal Pains. Mark has also appeared in many movies and TV series like What Women Want, Prison Break, Nurse Jackie, and The West Wing. Thanks so much for joining us.
I am so happy to be here, Dan. As I said to you before we started recording, this is the cornerstone of my week. And it's also a very meaningful project and handles a very serious subject for many out there. So I'm thrilled to be the Colin Firth in the King's Speech of the day.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is this your first scripted podcast performance?
You know, I'm having trouble remembering if I've ever done one before. I've done so many things on both Zoom and in my closet, my sound closet. And I've even recorded my own podcast attempts, but no, this is my first scripted podcast, and I love it. I'm so excited. I would love to write and direct and create my own. So I'm thrilled to get a little glimpse of what it is to do one.
I appreciate it. This episode's about stuttering, obviously, and how it drastically affected a man's self-confidence. Do you have either a personal connection to stuttering or something like that, something that people might assume, oh, this is sort of a small thing, but it can really impact your confidence?
I have two things I want to share. One is a dear friend of mine who I'll call Richie for the sake of this podcast, had a major stutter when I was a kid. And I remember it being very debilitating. And I remember that kids can be very mean. I hope that I wasn't ever, but there were certainly other kids at camp who would make fun of him. And I am sure that that didn't help his stuttering when he was, dealing with, just shooting the shit with other kids and trying to be a normal young man. And I think he definitely worked with a speech pathologist to help him. And I remember maybe his family was a little overbearing, and particularly one of his parents was incredibly loud, shrill, and I could imagine had something to do with why he stuttered. I don't know, exactly the history of how Holbrooks, who we're dealing with today, whether it was something in his family history, but in the case of my friend Richie, it certainly was. So I've seen it before, and I can see how debilitating and how much it affected his confidence as a kid and his personality. It was shaped by it. And it got much better with age. But that was one story. And then the other answer I wanted to give you was my own issue of, if you've seen the movie Broadcast News and you remember Albert Brooks sweating profusely, I have that great quality in me. And lucky enough, I got the lead role in a series that shot in summer in New York. So you can imagine, in the beautiful shirt, which I stole from the show itself that I'm wearing today, how the pit stains, which you can even see it starting now in a freezing cold garage here in LA. So you can only imagine, with the humidity as well, what it was like. And to share with your listeners and viewers, items had to be added into the budget to digitally remove the pit stains from my shirts on screen. You're welcome. You're welcome, USA.
I was going to actually ask about, because obviously you're an actor, and if you have anxiety and that kind of thing, and you sort of touched on that. I mean, is the sweating was specifically anxiety or related, or was it just you're a guy who sweats a lot?
I think it's anxiety related. And if I were to, I don't know how to go into that psychologically for myself, other than to say that I grew up with a wonderful, loving father who also liked us to know how to perform socially. So when you're leaving the building, my dad would say, "Mark, you say hello to the doorman." And you participate. So the feeling of pressure, it was never pressure. Like I am grateful for that, because I feel like I can conduct myself in a situation like this more extrovertedly than I might have had I not had that kind of training. But it also might have subconsciously put a little feeling of pressure of having to perform in me, where certain actors who are shy in life and then escape into the role, that's one way. Others like me, who were like raised to be a dancing monkey and then dance again, I feel maybe some of that pressure to perform. And so, if it leads to me sometimes pushing as an actor and schwitzing. I mean, I'll never forget opening on Broadway in a play called The Last Night of Ballyhoo in 1997, just to give us a sense of time and oldness. I was actually, though I had gotten the part originally, I couldn't do it because of a TV show. So Paul Rudd originated the role that I then replaced him in. That's a lot more information than you needed, but he was my first put in performance on Broadway. Of course, my father brought 50 people from the building, from his office, from the street. Just come, my son's in a play. And I was so nervous. And you could have combed your hair in the reflection on my forehead as I looked through, like as if there were a rain machine in my eyebrows shooting down, like looking at the actress I'm acting with on the couch. And I remember like being at Joe Allen's afterwards with my manager and being like, did you notice there was a little sweating? And she's like, yeah, I could tell. But eventually it calmed down and I could really relax into my performance. But it's moments of, yes, anxiety to answer it in a much longer way than one word that you gave me. Anxiety. Yes.
It's interesting, and it relates actually to the next thing I wanted to ask you about. When I think of you as an actor, I associate you with being kind of smooth and debonair, and so it is interesting to hear that. You've played a wide range of roles. You've done comedy, you've done drama. To my perception, you've never been kind of pigeonholed into like a specific type, which is a great thing, I think, for an actor. Is there anything that you haven't done yet that you would like to do?
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. I do really appreciate that I am able to toggle between comedy and drama because I love them both so much. I have always loved doing a comedy and then inserting a dramatic moment into it. I have always loved doing drama and being able to insert comedic moments in it. You're catching me on the heels of shooting a movie where I got to do a lot. It was an independent movie where I played a gun-toting Orthodox rabbi with full beard who, over the course of the movie, becomes like Jake Gittes in Chinatown and learns how to shoot a gun and tries to find the bad guys in his little desert town. It's like a Western. So I was a wise rabbi, a detective, an action hero, a loving father. It was so much. And there were comedic moments when I had to like perform in front of the like congregation or at the big gala where Dermot Mulrooney gets shot in the first 5 minutes of the movie. So I'm not ruining anything for you. And Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future plays the Holocaust survivor who I use to help explain to the neo-Nazi who's been tormenting our congregation that the Holocaust really did happen. There was so much in it that I'm actually, for want of a desire in these few weeks of January, but I assure you, I am not for want of a great role of any kind. I would love to play like something. I've played a lot of clean-cut lawyers and doctors and accountants, and as is, the curse of being a nice Jewish boy actor. But I would love to play something really degenerate, really out there, where I am, I don't know, like a role that, like Leaving Las Vegas meets, I don't know, Marathon Man meets Urban Cowboy, something just gritty and 70s film feeling. That would be amazing.
This was never, we were never going to make it through this without me mentioning my dad, who loves,
Please, Dan, get him in here.
who loves Royal Pains, and was, I think, the most excited of any of that. We've done this with many actors, of any actor that we've talked to. The fact that I was getting to talk to you, my dad and I for sure are seeing that movie with the gun-toting rabbi. There's no question.
I love it. I love it. It's called, it was originally called Guns and Moses, which I don't know if the director wants me to share, but because that title was so comedic, as I see you laughing, which I'm thrilled to see, it's now called Man in the Long Black Coat.
Great. Love it.
Because it's really a Western at heart.
Do you know when it's coming out?
Coming out is a relative term in this new world of ours, and with an independent movie as independent as this was. So I think the director is currently editing. He's been editing for 3 weeks. And I know his secret dream was to get to the Cannes Film Festival, which is in May. And if he's actually going to even attempt that, he's got to get it done by March, which is a tall order. So the most likely possibility is that we may, by the skin of our teeth, try to get into Toronto, and then it would have to try to sell itself, both by doing well there and having a distributor want it. And then it makes it onto one of those platforms that we all know, or it comes out, as you said, in an actual movie theater, which I'd love to see happen, but it's hard for an independent movie,
Awesome. Well, whenever it is released, I am very excited to see it. You can find the Speechless episode and all episodes of Hope Lives Here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. I want to thank our star, Mark Feuerstein. For Voyage Media, I'm Dan Benamor. Thanks for listening.